Well, good Wednesday, everyone. 7:45 right now with bright skies over Kansas City and what's been another hot day. We had a heat index up to around 105. Some spots got up to 110. Some spots didn't get nearly as hot today as some of us had a little bit of cloud cover. The cloud cover this afternoon rolled over. We had it in the metro for a little while. It's since moved out. But if you had that for a bit, trimmed your heat back, and you caught a bit of a break. Now, tomorrow's still going to be a hot day. We've still got a lot of heat moving up. But the near term is kind of switching gears here. We're going to focus on this flood threat. What could be the third round of flooding in the Kansas City area in less than a week. Remember, we had last Wednesday and Thursday was a 1 in 200 or a 1 in 500 year, depending on where you were, flood event. Then we had a round on Monday that unfortunately was tragic. It took a life. And then here we are looking at Thursday and Friday. And there's a risk there. We're not saying it's for sure going to happen, but the risk is on the table. So I'm going to walk you through what we see, time out the rain, and the question marks. You know, we don't have all the answers, but I can show you what we are seeing right now and the way it looks to go as best we can tell. So let me get my graphic over here ready for you. All right. Here's what's new. So we have a flood watch that was issued this afternoon that begins tomorrow at 4 o'clock across our area. So Kansas City's included in this. So starting tomorrow evening and through Friday, we have this flood concern. So we've now extended our first warned weather day into Friday. So Thursday and Friday are both days that we have to watch that could bring hazardous weather. Essentially, let's start here with Thursday. Thursday starts, it's actually got two hazards. One, it's still really hot. How hot you are tomorrow will depend on totally on clouds and showers and how much of that you see. But in between rain and clouds, it's still going to be, scalding. 104 is what some of our computer forecasts put out by 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So we'll see, excuse me, how that plays out. It may not end up being that hot in your exact spot, but if the sun breaks out, you will be. And then the other thing is the flood concern. Now, we're looking at the evening and night. So the morning might see some rain, but that's not flood threat. We're not worried about that. And then much of the day is actually dry. It's not until we get 5 and beyond where we see this line of heavy rain move in our general area. And that lasts into the evening and tonight. That's where we start going, uh-oh, we got to watch this. And here's something I don't like. If you've been watching the updates here recently, we have the same thing that we had on Monday, which is record high amounts of moisture in the air. What that means is, you know, it's not rain yet, obviously, but it is the amount of water that the air is holding in the form of vapor. And whenever that gets turned into rain, that means you can have a ton of it. Real heavy rain is possible with that kind of setup. And that orange channel right across our area is the concern. So let me show you the scenarios here. How much rain could we get? How's this play out? Well, we've got the question yesterday was, will we see heavy rain in our area or not? Now we think we're probably going to see heavy rain in our area. So the question becomes where? Because that really matters. In Kansas City, especially, going from KCK, Overland Park, down to Olathe has been the area that's been hit the hardest over the past week. That's going to be your most sensitive area to additional rain. So we hope that we don't get a lot there because the ground is so saturated, it just won't take that much rain to get flooding. Meanwhile, other areas will probably see heavy rain, and if they do, they could absorb more. So on the low end, this is like the best case scenario from what we're seeing on a number of our simulations, is we get 2 or 3 inches in some spots that aren't over the metro, and then this would be essentially a non-event in Kansas City. Yeah, we're going to get rain, but we can handle 0.3 of an inch. This is not a big flood scenario. So the chance that we end up dealing with, hey, this is just rain and we didn't get a big deal, that's on the table, and we hope it goes that way. But we need to be ready for the higher impact situation, which is this on the high end. So other computer forecasts, not only do they put out more rain, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, but they put it out over the areas that can't take that, including Kansas City. So if we see that, we got a problem on our hands. Now you're talking about flash flooding. Now we're talking about our streams and creeks and going back up and water possibly going into houses and it's going across the roads and it's a problem. We don't know which of these two it's going to look like, but it might look like the second. And if it does, we should have, awareness about that. Not everybody's going to see flash flooding. This is going to be isolated to spots. But we all have the potential to see at least some in our general area. So where is it going to set up? That's the question. Let me show you this. This is one of our most trusted short-term forecast radars. And let's see what it's putting out. All right, so here's tomorrow morning. Notice we've got some rain, but it doesn't look too heavy. So we're not worried about that, morning drive tomorrow being a big problem. Much of the day looks good. A little bit of cloud cover, a spotty shower here or there. There's 3, 4 o'clock. You look fine. It's just going to be hot. Now we get into the evening. That's what we're talking about. 5, 6, 7 o'clock. You got a line of storms coming in, and they look pretty hefty. Not only that, they could have some downburst winds with them that could, get up to severe levels. When the air is holding that much moisture and it all just kind of wants to rocket down to the ground, it's like all that weight of the rain can produce these brief wind gusts up to 60, 65 miles an hour. So it's not a big risk, but there is a risk for Thursday evening of some wind, and there's a level 1 out of 5 risk that includes Kansas City. So we'll keep an eye on that, but that's not our biggest worry. And then we get into the night, and it may do this, where we get several rounds. Look at that. There we are past midnight, and another round comes in. So you get round 1, and then round 2, and look at where that one's setting up, potentially right over the KC area, and then round 3 into Friday morning. That's how we could stack up these big totals of 3, 4, 5 inches in Kansas City. Some of the other computer forecast simulations, they've got it, that this line right here could be the worst. I think this is our greatest flood threat is overnight Thursday while we're sleeping. Some of the other ones have that farther to the north. So we're watching the trends here, and we probably won't know until tomorrow, honestly. Like, we'll have trends. We're going to watch the trends and be like more likely in this area versus this area. But the nature of storms like this is you just kind of have to wait and see where they fire up and where they favor. But if we do have this is where we get that, where the storms set up like they're on a train track, one right after the other, after the other, after the other, and they just kind of rake over the same spots and produce a whole bunch of heavy rain. So I am a little worried about Friday morning and the commute. That's why we have a first warn weather day before it moves out. By Friday afternoon, we're thinking we're dry, or drying out quite a lot. So another way to look at this is our flood risk is a 2 over a pretty broad area. That's a 2 out of 4. And essentially in that yellow zone, scattered flash flooding. Not everybody, but in spots could have some flash flooding. And then Friday's risk has increased. So if you're used to seeing the severe weather outlooks, this looks a lot like that, except instead of a scale of 5, this is a scale of 4. And a 2 is pretty notable. It's saying, we should probably have awareness that in spots we'll see some flooding. If you go 3, that's rather high, and 4 is rare. You don't hardly ever see a 4. So there's Friday's risk, and the greatest risk may be moving north as that line starts to move out, but we'd still have the leftover impacts Thursday all the way through Thursday night that would spill over into Friday, and then we may add more on Friday too. So that's the flood story. Let's see where we're seeing temperature-wise right now. 87. That's not too bad. 90s south and west. Heat index 108 in Garnett. Ooh. 102. Maryville had 110 earlier today. So tonight we don't have trouble. We're not worried about much tonight. Temperature's just going to be warm. It's humid. Early tomorrow morning, even before the sun comes up, might have some rain or a clap of thunder. We do have Chiefs training camp. And we could have a little rain in the morning. I'm not thinking it's going to be a big problem, but, especially going north, a little better shot there. So 20 to 30% rain chance, temperatures in the 80s and muggy, but maybe one of the better days, honestly, because it's been so stinking hot here lately. High temperatures, 90 in KC, but we might keep it trimmed back quite a bit into the 80s up north, depending on how quickly some of those clouds and showers start to fill in. But, again, the heat index could be quite a bit higher than that. Now, some good news, like sharing this, on the 7-day, 90 tomorrow, 88 on Friday. Hey, a day in the 80s. All right. And the heat index might actually not be so bad on Friday. It's just we're thinking that we're going to have clouds and leftover, trying to keep us cool. So now let me show you this. The weekend, Saturday, 93, 95 on Sunday. Look at the heat index here. So tomorrow's still up. Friday is great at 93. All right. And then 105 Saturday, 108 Sunday, 109 Monday and Tuesday. Those are probably going to become first warn weather days because of dangerous heat yet again. We've had so much of that. And into Monday and Tuesday, highs of 97. Now, Wednesday could be the end of or the beginning of the end of this heat wave. We do see it start to break. In fact, look at that little dip of cooler than average temperatures as we get closer to the beginning of August. And I see by the late part of next week, we might actually be kind of busting this heat wave up. So fingers crossed that happens. Okay, let's see what questions we have over here. Austin, evening and night have storm chances. Yeah, Dakota, we going to be looking at flood chances. Yes. Could there be a severe thunderstorm watch issued tomorrow? It's possible. Right now, I wouldn't expect it. I'd say it's possible. Thursday morning commute shouldn't be a problem. Temperature is going to be in the mid to upper 70s to start. And okay, there we go. All right, guys. That's the latest. We'll have more at 10. I'll have a brand new round of rain potential, how much rain we could get. The first warn future radar is going to update. So I'll have all kinds of new stuff at 10 o'clock. We're just going to track the trends and see what kind of moves and jostles around a little bit. So if that interests you, I'll see you there. Otherwise, have a great night. Thanks for joining us. Hope it was helpful. And try to keep cool and stay dry. Bye-bye.